This week on Rockstar Superhero. Ghost Iris, the monstrous and brutal metalcore band from Denmark, has a really unique human being as their vocalist. Jesper Vicencio-Gün is the singer of the band. He's more than melody, snarl, and violence, though. The offstage version of him is anything but intense. He's really quiet and kind, and you know what? He clearly exhibits the exact reason metal music exists in the first place. It's an artistic style that one might exorcise one's demons and a place to find catharsis through rhythm and intensity. In other words, if you have to break a few heads or legs, well, so be it. Just know that once that 30-minute show is over, you're going to feel so much better and go back to just being the best human being you can. The new album, Comatose, comes out on May 7th, just as this podcast is hitting the airwaves, so make sure you check it out. I'll have the links below. If you like hard-hitting groovy metal with clean and distorted vocals, this is definitely an excellent starter kit for you. Finally, you might notice that we referenced doing this show over a week's time, and the fact is, I wasn't aware of the time limitations the first time around, so it's on me. I had to beg Jesper to come back and do a part 2, and he was so cool and so kind and immediately said yes, so thanks for saving me, brother. This is my multi-part interview with Jesper Vicencio-Gün from Ghost Iris on the Rockstar Superhero Podcast.
I am absolutely stoked that you're here. You are one of these people I have recently discovered, and it is mind-blowing. Your vocal ability, your singing ability is top-notch. You have a huge range. And you can scream like nobody's business, man. It's really something. So thank you for coming on my show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Well, let's just jump right into Denmark, because that is one of those things I'm really curious about. It seems to me that the best music in the world is coming from Scandinavia. Just that entire area. And I don't know why this is, but there's definitely something in the water. There's something in the blood. There's something in the DNA. Are you, being in the middle of that scene, has it always felt special, or is this a new uprising?
I mean, I can mostly speak for my own country, of course, Denmark. Well, and I don't. I mean, of course, there's King Diamond and Lars Ulrich, which they both hail from Copenhagen, around the area where I live, actually. But I never found Denmark that special. But you know what I mean is, like, always when you're in a place for so long, you don't find it that special anymore.
Yeah.
But whenever you go to another country, everything is so exciting and new. But to me, with the music scene as well in Denmark, for metal at least, I don't consider it to be that nothing compared to like Sweden or Norway, for example, which I think is way more impressive in that regard. But thank you so much for mentioning it though. But yeah, Scandinavia, there's something in Iceland. I don't know if you consider Iceland Scandinavia, but it used to be Denmark and Iceland had some thing going on. You know, met plenty of people who speak Danish in Iceland. A beautiful country, and they got some really cool acts as well. Not necessarily metal, but you know, like Björk, for example. Björk, the singer, the woman, and they got a great band. One of my favorites from Scandinavia is like Agent Fresco. If you heard about them.
Yes, I love them. They're fantastic.
That's like unique, special, but when you hear it, you think like this is definitely from the north somewhere. You know, that's how I felt the first time I heard it, and it's so good. Yeah. So, but Denmark has great stuff as well, of course. Yeah, it has Ghost Iris.
Yeah, so I was gonna say let's do that too. But Ghost Iris, Vola, I believe, is from Denmark.
Vola, of course. Vola is great.
Wonderful. And of course, like the Norwegian acts, Shining, Rendezvous Point, Leprous,
Lepers, yeah.
So many great acts up there.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, we could probably talk about that forever. So because you come from that area of the world, just starting back with some history of yours, what kind of music were you influenced by? I know these are really safe questions, but what sort of formed you, Jesper? Because I think it's really different what you do, how you sound.
Thank you. I mean, in Ghost Stars, we have these, we call it the 3 M's, the letter M.
Okay.
It's Meshuggah, Misery Signals, and Michael Jackson. Like those 3. Yeah. Yeah, it's also for it's pretty quirky the way we lay it out and all that. But it's like my very first inspiration, probably the case for many people, even people who play metal, it was Michael Jackson when I was 5-6 years old, running around doing stuff that children should not do, as grabbing your crotch and all that stuff, and yelling his signature, his ow and all that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that really loud right now. My girlfriend is making food in the kitchen right next to me. Yeah, that's like my first. But then if we skip ahead, that was when I was 5. I'm going to say something like that. Listen to it on my Walkman, actually, which I still have, a Sony Walkman from 1992 that I bought back then, or my parents bought. Dangerous, the album Dangerous, Michael Jackson's Dangerous. But then if we skip ahead to something more rock and metal oriented, it was 96, and I was listening to Backstreet Boys and Spice Girls. So they were the shit back then, right? Like mid 90s, that was their peak. Huge acts at that point. And then there was I was 12. There was an Iranian kid. I don't recall if him and his family were fugitives or if they emigrated for work or something to Denmark. But I remember he came into my class, and 12 years old, and he was wearing a Metallica t-shirt on one day, and then the next day he was wearing a Tupac t-shirt. And then Metallica, then Tupac, shifting between those two a lot. He was always wearing those 2 damn t-shirts. And we started talking as, young boys do and all that. And then I'm like, well, what is that? It was Metallica. I think it was Reload or Load, the artwork from that, the mid 90s, around there when they came out. I was like, what is that? Wow, it looks great. It looks like fire or something, which I found out later that it was not at all.
Not fire at all.
Not fire at all. When I was 12 years old, I didn't understand.
We'll let people research that one for us, too. We don't need to even talk about it.
Exactly. Birds and the Bees, I didn't know anything about that yet. Yeah. But I just remember that we had like a CD and cassette player in the back of the classroom, and everybody was trying to hog it, like, I want it now. And then we were like, fuck you, we want it. And then he put on Metallica, Load and Reload, those albums, and also the Black Album. I believe he had that one too. And we listened to some Tupac as well, and like other gangster rap type of stuff. But I remember both of them, actually, both Metallica and Tupac, which I still to this day, I still listen to both. I still love both, which is funny. I don't know. Of course, they're like genre-wise, they're not that close to each other, but that was like, Metallica. That was the very first rock and metal. And then some years later, the whole new wave of metal from like New England, the metalcore, Shadows Fall, Killswitch Engage, God Forbid, and all those bands started rising up there in the beginning of the 2000s. And As Lay Dying, I remember that as well. I saw the name. I was like, whoa, they have the word dying in their name. That's fucked up. That's what I was thinking for myself. That's so messed up. Why would you call your band something with dying? That's so weird. And the artwork was the skull and all that, like a half moon or crescent moon or whatever it was. Right. So that's definitely what shaped me. But what really shaped me was the metalcore, that era at the beginning, like Killswitch. Yeah, it's like so good. Killswitch is like my generation's Metallica. Like I feel like almost for me personally, of course. But that's what I can say right now.
No, that's fine. It's an amazing thing because it shows how diverse you are, and it shows how diversity affects an art, right? It's required. I think the more open we are to listening to styles and allowing the bits and pieces to influence us, it actually forms in us a completely unique sound. I mean, you sound you are as hardcore as it gets, and yet you have this incredible, beautiful, melodic vocal, this singing voice that had to have been formed by traditional singing. You know what I mean? So it makes sense.
I agree. Yeah, definitely. I'm not gonna say that I sound like Michael Jackson or anything, but
No.
definitely the seed was planted. Yeah. I mean, some of my the notes, the melodies are quite high, I would say, but of course, it's not the same as Michael Jackson, of course. But yeah, definitely that shaped me for sure.
Yeah.
And also later on, like especially like I said, Killswitch and Nestle dying in that whole era.
Yeah. Are you familiar with John Howard from Threat Signal and Monolith?
No, I remember Threat Signal, the name, the band, but I don't recall the music too well.
Yeah, no, that's fine. There's so many bands, it's to be expected. But you and he have a very similar vocal style. But what I love is that you can put 100 vocalists in the room, and they all have their own fingerprint, their own bent, because again of the things that filter through them. What I like about you so much, Jesper, is you have this really sweet nature about you. That, in other words, you're this super intense guy, and yet you're capable of being what I would call just a normal, right? You're not this pissed off, ready to kill the world guy. It's almost like you're representing a character. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah, it's the whole, but I mean, it's art, and we all have stuff hidden in our subconscious, but we also put on our masks in the day to day, right? I mean, but no, I'm not that pissed, and I'm getting older as well. You start realizing that it sucks to be pissed, and it really drains you.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. I imagine your fans, though, expect a certain sort of behavior, if you will, because the thing that I've caught over and over again, especially talking to so many people who are really significantly famous, is there's this expectation of celebrity, right?
Oh yeah.
And my point,
a train wreck mostly.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people expect.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. The sex, drugs, rock and roll, the foolish behavior.
Yeah.
And my hope is to demystify that. And what I love about having somebody like you on the show is it shows how just beautiful artists are in general, that we are playing characters. And I mean, I'm not equating myself to you because I don't do what you do, but there is something. Celebrity is such a false god. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Idols and all. I'm not a big fan of idols. But if you want to see ridiculous behavior, like with modern like rock and roll metal vocalists, and don't look at them. Just go look at TikTok or something if you want to see foolish behavior. That kind of stuff. But the funny thing is that like we've had so many, and it kind of sucks to break their to like crush their image of us. They think like, oh, when they're on tour, they're fucking drinking 24/7, and yeah, dude, they're like sniffing lines and all that. It's like first of all, none of us have ever touched lines. That's one thing. Of course, we like alcohol, but I mean, we're not 18 anymore. You know, we're like I'm 35 personally, and the rest of the guys are around 30 now. So it's even years back when we started, we still weren't like, let's drink, because we're all very hardworking, and we really when we're on tour, we're there to give the best show possible. And what could compromise that? Too much alcohol, which results in a lack of sleep and overall just your body not feeling well. And if your body is not up to par, then the show is going to be degraded in a way. It's going to go down a few notches. And if you take a look, if you're ever going to see us live, like take a look at, for example, Daniel, the one of the guitar players. He's a personal trainer, and he's buff as all hell, and like he's an athlete, and it really comes to show when he plays as well, because he like fucking flips out and runs around. And you can see it on him. Like if he was this tiny twig, he wouldn't be able to do half the stuff he does, because he's like yeah, you know,
Yeah.
he's a big
Yeah.
guy. Not huge,
Yeah.
but you know, athletic. Yeah.
Well, I think that's something that gets lost in the shuffle is most people don't realize what a physical, how can I put it? How much physical strength is required. It's not just mental strength to be on stage and to perform. And most people don't even think about the fact that when they go see a band, they're going to see a band. They hear you on the radio, they hear your CD, they hear your downloads, whatever, but they see you live, and that requires, right, a lot of movement. You can't just stand there and be Amy Winehouse, and we know what happened to Amy Winehouse, you know.
Yeah.
Awful stuff.
But yeah, super awful. But yeah, it's I mean, it's fine if you want to play. There's the shoegaze genre, which is like, in the word, it's kind of self-explanatory. They shoegaze, and it doesn't really take an athlete per se. I'm not going to say that I'm an athlete, but I'm definitely not a not athlete. You know, I'm somewhere in between, I guess. But it's it takes a lot, and even though it's like a 30-minute show, we're so bombarded afterwards. Like, everybody's like, whoa. Like, we just sit there looking at each other after we played. Like, people their eyes are all swollen and red and sweat pouring down. But it's like, that was a good show.
Yeah, that, you know, I mean, when you get on stage, especially as an opening act, you have no choice but to put it all out there and hope you kind of blow the main stage guy off the stage, so you end up taking his spot down the road. You know, I imagine bands are afraid to follow you because you guys have a hell of a show. It's very, very intense. So there's a lot of energy going on, and that music is unrelenting, man.
It's pretty like, we're trying to work in some more dynamics, but we just love that it's just 30 minutes of power. You know, 30 minutes of a 10 out of 10 level kind of thing.
Yeah. Before we get to Ghost Iris, you were in a band, As We Fight, a while back. Was that your first sort of act that broke, or were you in, you know, other acts before that? Because I couldn't really find any in my research.
I was in no, it's because this is like a long time ago. It's like the MySpace era, and MySpace is, you know, kind of dead, I would say.
Yeah.
But it was a band called Something to Die For, and I'm gonna give you one guess as to where we got that band name. You want to take a guess?
I don't want to look like an idiot in front of all the hardcore fans, but it sounds. I don't know. I mean, dude, I'm not gonna try.
Okay, it was Lamb of God. It was a Lamb of God song.
Well, shit.
I don't even remember the song now. It's been so long. I don't even recall it. I don't really listen that much.
Yeah. Well, I don't listen to a lot of Lamb of God, but I do like Lamb of God. And, you know, but I should have known better.
I mean, I only remember the name of that song because of my first band's name.
Yeah.
Title of that song. But that was the very first one. That's a long time ago. It's like 2005, I think, or something. Maybe. Yeah. Maybe a little before that.
How do you feel with Ghost Iris, obviously being, you know, your bread and butter, your daily drive? How hard is it to be in a band that is breaking, but is not mainstream, right? Because we can talk about the Michael Jacksons of the world, and we can wish as artists that we were doing something that everybody in the world seemed to like. And I know that's not how it works, you know, in any sort of hardcore band. How does that feel? Do you feel like your art gets missed sometimes, that things get lost in the the popularity shuffle?
I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and be like a spoiled brat and expect that we could play it in mainstream radio, because I know that we never will. Not with the type of music we make now, at least. We make a niche. How do you pronounce that? Niche. I always forget.
It works both ways, buddy.
Great.
Yeah.
Niche.
That's right.
Niche type of music, and but still, our latest song that we just released on Thursday, Friday already has like 20,000 streams, which is pretty insane for like more extreme music. But and I also realized, because if you go in and look on Spotify, the top 50 songs right now in the world, Like at one point. By the way, can I swear on your show? I already did it a few times. Is it okay? Okay.
You can go fucking crazy.
Shit, yeah. There was at one point the most popular song in the United States, in your lovely country. The most popular song was the song called WAP by I was about to say Nicki Minaj. I mean Cardi B and Megan the Stallion, which is a song about something, and it's like that's mainstream.
I don't understand it.
Me neither. And I'm not even that old. I still feel like I'm kind of with. I still like some pop music. There's some great pop acts in Denmark that don't sing about that, but their music, they sing about other stuff, more chill out stuff, but just great music and pop music. But that's also when you look. I think it was 2 out of the 50 songs in the top 50 in the world was considered rock. That tells you something about rock and metal, and the fact that it's kind of dead. It will never die, of course, but it's more dead than mainstream music, that's for sure. So it's I would never expect it to be like go completely nuts and that we will have millions upon millions, but there are still some great like heavier music acts out there that get a lot of playtime. So but we get lost, but it's okay.
Yeah, well, there's so many things you just talked about that I want to talk about. One is Cult, the song, because I'm assuming that's the song you're talking about.
That's the latest one, yes.
Yes, it is. That is a fantastic. I use this word a lot. But I mean it. That is a fantastic piece of music. And I of course, because I am admittedly somewhat new to Ghost Iris, once I found out I was going to interview you, I went hog wild and really started looking at stuff. But I mean, I'd heard of you, and I'd heard you because I follow you on social media and whatnot. But finding out that I had a chance to talk to you, I was like, oh my God, I better listen to all of this stuff. And Cult, I get it. It's the latest release, so it's easy to talk about. But it really, really hit me hard. The theme of the song seems pretty clear, and the message is definitely loud and definitely maybe even violent in its anger, which I actually love. That's how I interpret it anyway. But there are these really surprising melodic vocal phrasings in the chorus, and that to me is such a radical what's the word? I guess dichotomy. It's just they're so disparate and different. Is this contrast. Is this your personal way to push and pull the song towards your own sort of personal melodic vision, or is this something that the band does sort of in every piece?
Well, I would say definitely the latter. It's something that we tend to do in many of our pieces, because we've always been about the contrast. Like I said, with Meshuggah and Michael Jackson, that's, if that's not contrast, I don't know what is. But it's we just love both sides of the coin in this case, and it happens a lot. But of course, the first single we released from our new album Comatose, coming out May 7th, was Paper Tiger, which was like a unrelenting aggressiveness exclusively. That's all it was. So not in all songs, but most of them for sure. I know I'm supposed to say May 7th, May 7th, May 7th. it's definitely
I just
said it for you as well.
No, that's great. Why? I'm sure people have already asked you this. Why the lowercase titles?
Well, to be honest, just to try something new. Nothing specific, for real.
Okay.
It's just I've never did that before, like a stylistic choice. I'm like, what am I going to say? Oh, it signifies the degradation of the Western society, that the fact that we're on our way down, therefore the lower cases. Like, I would be bullshitting if I did that. I would be a bullshit artist. I'm trying not to be.
No, that's fair. Nirvana.
It's stylistic.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Nirvana, of course, came out in the early 90s and actually took Dangerous off, or knocked it off the top of the charts. Was Nirvana and that style of music, did it ever have an appeal, or did it have an impact on you? Because their music was famous for being what I would call loud and soft, right? That was their
Sure.
thing. Soft verses, loud choruses.
Yeah.
You guys, as an example, have these harsh verses and very melodic choruses. Do you take into account the influence of bands like Nirvana into how you songwrite?
Actually, no. I'm actually gonna say with 100% certainty that like actually nobody in Ghost Stars have ever been remotely influenced by Nirvana. I mean, Come As You Are, for example, I used to play that on drums in school and all that. Tried to play it on guitar and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I think that's how far it went for me. Of course,
Nice.
Smells Like Teen Spirit, which have now become the most annoying rock song of all time because it's been played so much. It's like almost vulgar how much it's been played. But still, a heavier song in a way, and it was mainstream. Like going back only 20 years, like Limp Bizkit was mainstream, and Linkin Park, which was also heavier than Spice Girls, for example, Backstreet Boys.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that it's gonna come around one day, and that more extreme music is gonna get put back on the map. Because I still remember, like I used to watch this, like the national TV channel in Denmark is called DR1, and it was a lot of pop music, but also like Slipknot. It's like a mainstream pop chart. Slipknot was, I'm not going to say number one, but at one point, like at least number 3, surrounded by other stuff. And like POD, I think they were on there as well. And, stuff like that from that era, which was insane when you think about it.
Yeah, there's something to be said about this. And I think this goes back to when we started talking, something about Scandinavia in general that is very open to what the world is doing, but yet really focused on art for art's sake. I mean, there's a real focus and love for it. I've talked to a few artists from the area recently, and because of the coronavirus and affecting how artists are working when they're not, in a sense, doing their art, right? Their day job, so to speak.
Yeah. They're
getting a lot of support from governments through grants to continue to be musicians and artists. And this would never even be a consideration in the States, Jesper. Never.
No, I know we're quite spoiled. I mean, we truly are. And it's so lovely that there's all these funds from what do you call them, like like a foundation or whatever. I was about to say like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, like that, where like big people donate money, like people who's got a lot of money, they donate to culture. And Carlsberg Tuborg, the beer company, which they're rich as fuck. They have a lot of money. They have their own part of Copenhagen. It's called Carlsbergbyen, which means Carlsberg City. It's like an area. There's apartments and they're like their office buildings. It's like their own part, and it's like real, like next to the center of the city, which is some pretty expensive real estate. So they have a Tuborg. It's Carlsberg Tuborg. Tuborg Fountain, which is they like rent out. When I say rent, I don't mean rent because you get it for free. Like a huge Mercedes Sprinter XL van with, of course, plastered with their logo. But it's like, we're going on tour. Sign up for this. Of course, there's like a list. A lot of people do it, but it's like you pay for the gas and that's it. You don't have to pay for the fee to rent it. And it's a really nice car, and it's such a huge help. It really helps a lot. Make sure that we don't go broke and fall on our asses. So it's great.
You're the only guy who I've actually had to ask back because we couldn't get it done. And it's all my fault because I had no idea the promotion company wanted to push it half an hour. My apologies, brother.
No worries. I mean, for me, it's just like, it could have gone on longer, but I had another one, so I had to fulfill that obligation as well. So
yeah. So let me actually ask that question. What's it like doing all this press?
It's great. Actually, I mean, a lot of my people around me, my family, and my girlfriend can attest to the fact that I really love talking. So I talk a lot. So it's perfect for me. And especially when it's like topics that I actually find very interesting. Then definitely helps. It helps.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard for, I think, a lot of us. It's certainly hard for me to try to come up with something unique. And I figured, the reality is pub tours don't
Mm,
allow for much uniqueness. You know what I mean? It's
mm.
just kind of the same 12 questions over and over again. But
A lot of time, yeah, it is.
yeah, last week when we concluded the first half, you had just finished talking about how you go out into a show and you do 30 minutes and you're pretty much spent. You just put it all out on the floor. And I
Yeah.
wondered, with a band like yours and a voice like yours, it's so unrelenting. How do you make it through a show with your voice and health intact? I mean, there has to be some sort of training.
For sure. It's funny because actually, was it yesterday? Whatever, in the past few days, I had a great moment in the rehearsal space by myself, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm feeling, just doing like karaoke, I would say, just singing along to songs that I like. So
Yeah.
it's great practice to keep it all intact and all that. So I just tried to, like, yeah, I'm feeling this. I felt like going nuts as if I were on a stage. Of course, not as much space, but still enough space in our rehearsal space to like move around. And I felt it after like, okay, we haven't played since September. I definitely feel it. So that's why I'm also now, I'm like, I have to get into this mindset where at least 3 times a week I take a run,
Yeah.
and I do like push-ups, just regular old like squats, push-ups, dips, the very standard pull-up type of exercises. That's the way I do it, because not getting younger, your body starts deteriorating after I don't know what age, but slowly, but you starts going on the decline. So it's a mix of making sure the it's a well-oiled machine, but also utilizing proper technique. Because if you just go all out and you just leave your mind by the wayside, the technique kind of gets lost, and you push too much, and that's gonna really wear you down really quickly. And I don't even mean quickly as in a few years. I mean like during the show. You could
Yeah.
feel it. If you just go completely ham for the first 15 minutes, the last 15 minutes is going to be, a little bit hard for you,
Yeah.
even for the
Yeah.
most trained vocalist. So
Yeah, you had mentioned you had said vocal athletics, the idea of athleticism.
yeah,
And I've never, sang or screamed like you do. I have a very traditional, like I might as well be a choir boy, right? So
Mhm.
I've never understood how to get the fry screams, how to get those deep things. And, I've asked other vocalists before if they're sucking in or if they're pushing out, and everybody says the same thing. They're pushing out, but I don't understand where it comes from. I mean, how do you develop it? In the beginning, is it just lots of, oh, and you just kind of find your way? I mean, really, how do you do it?
I mean, if you're fortunate enough to have a vocal teacher, which I did not have from the get-go. I think my ground form, if that's an expression I can use,
Mhm.
it would probably be better. But it's been many years now, so it has become better. But you push, but you always have to remember. I didn't know this in the beginning though, but lucky me, I kind of got the hang of it, and I started watching videos, and I started thinking about not ruining myself. And always get away from the throat. If you
Mm.
start feeling like tingly weird things up here, it's going to develop into something that feels like a burn, and you just stop
Wow.
what you're doing right now and wait a few days or like a week, and then come back to it again, because you can sustain like a vocal injury if you do it. I mean, it's not going to kill you to do it like a few times, but or even a few weeks, but over time it's definitely gonna wear you down. So the throat is like no go. Like it's
Yeah.
all diaphragm, it's all like down from the gut, like really tensing and opening up the rib cage, which over the years I've learned, actually from YouTube, and a few from like I had about 20 lessons from a vocal teacher.
Hmm.
Once she was not like a metal vocal teacher, she was like a classically trained piano at a conservatory and all that
Yeah.
stuff. But it doesn't matter. No matter what you do, it's all like universal. You need proper support specifically,
Yeah.
which definitely comes from from the diaphragm. And you say that you sing too?
Well, I sing, I mean, traditionally, meaning,
Yeah,
I
but you
mean,
still know
yeah,
support.
I mean,
Yeah,
you know, I mean, I can, you know,
still
I have a
support.
big range, the whole thing, but
Mhm.
yeah, my whole thing is I've never understood it. It's very much a magic trick
Mm.
to a guy like me. And I think most of your audience, there's an awe because they see that, you know, I watched one of your short little snippet videos on Instagram that was just like, I mean, nobody can see this unless they're watching the video, but my eyes just went kablam. I was like, what the hell is that? You just do that. And what I love is
Yeah.
you get a little bit of tongue at the end, you know, and I get it. It's technique. How else do you get these sounds? However you get them. But I watch it and I'm just waiting for your head to explode. I'm waiting for the magic, you know, the rabbit to be pulled out. It's really mind blowing, especially because you, and again, I don't want to compare you to other people, but like, you know, Tatiana from Ginger, like John from Thread Signal, you have melodic voices as well. You're not just growling. There's this beautiful melody that comes out a lot of times in the chorus. And that is like double the magic trip. You know what I mean? I actually said trip just now because it is such a trip. We don't get it.
Well, I would say that I can almost say the same to you as well with like the classical stuff, and well, maybe more specifically to me like opera. I do not understand that at all. I tried to do like really, you know, really deep and push to get this really super deep and at the same time very powerful voice, but it's like that one falls flat for me because I have no idea how to do that. So I know where you're coming from and what you mean with like it seems like a magic trick almost, but it's you know, training.
Yeah,
So,
I guess that's it. You know,
yeah.
when I was in high school, my choir teacher, you know, she actually would walk up to us and she would put her hand on our diaphragm and she would push as we, you know, usually we're at our, you know, like I'm a tenor. So we would sing at our top note and she would push on the diaphragm and say, what I want you to do is get that sound by pushing down while you're going, ah, you know what I mean? And that's how I figured it out. But I still to this day hold my breath. I do all sorts of, you know, I have really no technique because I just rather play drums.
I used to play drums too, so I get that. I completely get that. But yeah, it's well, holding your breath. Yeah, I guess I feel like I do that as well.
Yeah.
Well, a mix. It's a mix thing as well.
Yeah,
But it's
I mean,
also a matter of
breathe.
like you have to push. You have to breathe, of course. But you know, like you say with pushing and all that. But it's so weird. It's like if you don't push enough, it's gonna sound super weak. If you push too much, it can also sound not that good, and you're gonna wear yourself out really really quickly. So there's somewhere in between, some weird place in between where you found that the sweet spot is the best expression I can use. It's like in between somewhere where it becomes like effortless. And I have to admit, during the last year with this whole thing going on in the world now, you know, had a lot of time on my hands, you know, because no shows. We had like a 3-month period where 2 of the guys couldn't rehearse because they wanted to, you know, like, oh, we got the virus, let's stay away. And they work with like small children and elderly people, so blah blah, right? And then, but I was there anyways, and I feel like in the past year I've actually grown more than I have like in the past 5 years because I've been like super meticulous and utilizing these warm-up techniques to like alleviate tension and all, because tension is the worst. If you start tensing on one place, it's like a ripple effect, like all over, and then you could maybe do it for half an hour, but then you're like, oh man, I gotta take a break for a few days now because it's pretty rough. But it shouldn't be like that. It should become almost effortless. Of course, we're not the human voice. The voice box is not made to like scream all the time. It's not made for that. But with proper technique and the sweet spot and all that, then you should be able to do it for hours on end and day by day even. So
yeah, I imagine, you know, it's just technique. Like you said, it's probably like me playing double bass notes. You know what I mean? It's just you learn the trick. And then you refine the trick by not doing it too fast. And then eventually you can go really fast. You know, it's just
without tensing up.
Yeah.
With tensing up, because with, like you say, with drums specifically, you get tense up really quick. and
Oh,
you
yeah.
get so tired so
Oh,
fast.
yeah.
And then you're looking at like this freak of nature. Do you remember Despised Icon? Do you remember that
Yes.
band? Like
Yes.
the deathcore grind kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
The drummer very appropriately named, well, it's not his real name, but Alex Grind.
Right.
He's
Right. Right.
known as that. It's like I just watched a video of
I
like
gotta
a
watch it.
watched like the latest playthroughs. They're like a year old now, I think. After they came back, like some of it is like I feel like he has like a sense of humor in a way, because some of the stuff he does is like you just start laughing because like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Why did you have to do that? It's so over the top, but I love it anyways.
Yeah. I love
And he's not
Insanity.
tensing. Yeah, he's not tensing at all. He's like, what?
Yeah.
It's insane
Samus,
technique.
the drummer, Samus. Are you familiar
Yeah.
with him?
6'6", Samus.
I mean, my God, man, that guy can do stuff that really, to me, seems impossible. And obviously, clearly, and he's doing it easily. You know, it's well. Anyway, enough of that. Let's talk about the new album, because the new album is why we're talking, right?
Yeah. Sure.
It's called Comatose. It comes out on May 7th. Mm-hmm. Am I correct on that still?
I believe so, yeah. No, it's May 7th.
So from what I've read, you know, you guys have spent obviously quite a bit of time, maybe the last year or two, even sort of writing this and patiently building this. And the coronavirus, I'm imagining, has affected this. How did this series of events, the timelines, the virus, your inability to see your bandmates, the frustrations in the world in general, how did it affect the songwriting, and how did it affect your singing?
The funny thing is that we actually already were deep into the songwriting process by March last year. But then there was a few months before we went into recording, which was around May, I believe. So it of course it did affect it, and some of the lyrics even got rewritten a bit, because I was like, oh man, this is really annoying. But it didn't. Well, it was annoying, and that I was like, why are people buying toilet paper? What like, you can't eat toilet paper. If it was the apocalypse, why are you buying toilet paper?
Yeah.
Why don't you buy canned beans or something?
That's weird.
Or water bottles, whatever. But a lot of things were just going on, and I mean, we didn't stop. We just kept going. I don't feel like it affected us that much, actually. We were like, this is not gonna stop us. And but I remember the producer, he was a little apprehensive in the beginning with us coming to the studio, but it just ended up being the same thing we've been doing 3 times in a row now. With the same guy, same place, almost same time of year. It's like a tradition. So it didn't affect us that much, but it was later on, I felt like, after it was already in the can, all of it, that's where the real frustration came up, because we were like, okay, this is seems like it's gonna last longer than anybody thought.
Yeah.
And that's when we start getting more pissed off. And that's gonna come out in the live shows, I think, once that start happening again.
Yeah, you're going to be able to take it out on all of us. It's going to be awesome.
I welcome people to take it out on me as well.
Yeah,
we're all in it together. It's fine.
Yeah. What song or lyrics best represent who you are right now? Personally, I'm a fan of Euphoric State. That song, I love that song. And your voice,
one.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not knocking the new, you know what I mean?
No.
But I love that song, and I love the combination of things you do with your voice on the song. Again, it's one of those magic trick songs to me. I just listen to it and go, wow, I don't get it, and it's awesome, and I wish I could do that. But yeah, of all your work or anything on the new record, what do you think song best represents you?
Oh man, that's a hard one. That's really hard. I'm of course now. Initially, I'm gonna be. I'm thinking like, of course, something new, like the newest stuff, because it's current. It's up here now and all that. But actually, a state of mind that I've had for a long time, and it's mellowed out a tiny bit, because I realize that humanity is what humanity is, and I believe that most people try to do good. I believe there's more good people in the world than there is bad people.
Yeah,
I feel like. But the end song, the one that finished off Apple of Discord, our previous album, called Virus. that's represented me for a long time. That's for sure. That song is super pissed off, and it was actually, I've never really told anybody this, but the what it was initially about, in fact, it's up for interpretation. I always leave my lyrics very open. It can be like put on a plethora of subjects, but specifically this one was my frustration around the factory farming and the way that animals are treated like pretty much nothing, and this whole thing, it starts out confined in a narrow corridor, and that's like when cows walk to specifically the kill floor. They're in this super narrow thing where they can't turn around, and then they just go in and their head is stuck, and then they get the bolt thing in the head and all that. Yeah, the bolt thing first, and then the throat slit. So it's initially about that. Yeah, it's a very sensitive subject for many people because I'm not saying there's anything wrong with eating meat at all.
No, but it's dark.
It's a dark subject matter for sure. I eat meat for 29 years of my life myself. So nobody's like I said, I don't think anybody's like inherently like evil just on purpose. But it's also a matter of fact that a lot of people they have like blinders on almost because they don't know what's going on in the world. And I understand that people have a 9-to-5 and they have a family and they have so many things to take care of. So it's really hard to sit down and go into the subject, but not to go down that path. But that song is actually specifically about that initially from my viewpoint when I wrote it. But it's up for interpretation. You can still view it in another way. But for me,
Yeah, no, that's legit. That's really thoughtful, and that actually breaks into a question I wrote just specifically for you because I thought of you. When I was listening to this over the weekend, I thought, what is your take on how metal has been seen to be about those that are emotionally unintelligent, right? Like, I look at you and I talk to you and you're very thoughtful. You're not quick with your words. You demonstrate a great level of patience with me, but also clearly, you're taking your time to represent the best way. And when I think about metal music, it tends to be, very abrupt and very aggressive for a reason, right? It's supposed to be cathartic for the listener, cathartic for the artist. But it's been equated with a lack of intelligence, And so what is your take on the music and that genre and how it equates to emotional intelligence?
Wow, that is a super technical question.
Yes, it's deep and dark, and maybe dark too.
No, but I like it. Speaking of being thoughtful, you definitely thought that one through. Can you like narrow it down a bit, maybe? And it was very long. The lead up was a little long.
No, I know. I'm sorry.
No worries. I would love to answer it. I just want to make sure I understand.
Right. Well, okay. So let's see. How can I say this a different way?
Yeah.
How maybe here's a better way to put it. When you listen to music, metal music specifically, do you find that it's provocative? Do you find that it challenges your thoughts? Or do you find that it's just a chance for you to put your fist in the air and be an animal? Does it bring out the thoughtful side of you, or does it just bring out the aggressive human animal side of you?
Well, that's more. Now I get it. It's definitely more the thoughtful side. I used to go, like, for example, like the animalistic side, go mushing and like be completely inconsiderate and just go bananas. But it was fine, everybody is like there for the same thing, so it was fine. But definitely more thoughtful. It makes me think like a lot, especially if there's some great lyrics to go along with it. But it doesn't only have to be that. It doesn't have to be the lyrics necessarily. I feel like music speaks words as well. You know what I mean? You definitely can hear if it's it's happy, it's sad, it's everything in between, melancholic and so forth. It definitely brings out a thoughtful side. Even like if you say with the what do you say with the intelligence part?
Yeah, the emotional intelligence.
Yeah, exactly. Emotional intelligence. A lot of like more bureaucratic people, the aristocrats and all that. Aristocrats, not aristocrats. Aristocrats. The aristocrats. That's the ones I'm talking about. You know, the higher echelons of society and all that.
Yeah.
They would probably say, this is pure garbage. This is noise and all the blah, blah, blah. But I think there's a correlation with intelligence, actually, and more complex music, for sure. I'm not going to say that everybody who listens to, for example, like Cardi B is unintelligent or anything, but it's definitely more simplistic music, and there's so many more people listening to that. And so once again, the risk of people being not the smartest people listening to Cardi B is probably a big chance of that, or a big risk of that. Where do I want to go with that? But yeah, you know, it definitely makes me think a lot, for sure.
Yeah, you mentioned that when we talked last week, Cardi B, and you know,
I did.
Yeah. Well, no, that's. I mean, this is great. It goes to prove that it's on your mind. You know, I've never listened to it ever. I don't think I would even know the song, her famous song, the WAP song or whatever.
I haven't heard it in total or in full though. I've only heard snippets of it, but it was enough for me to say, like, sure. So.
Well, the funny thing is music like that is seen as safe, and yet it means wet ass pussy. Are you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it pisses me off that we live in a world that everybody turns a blind eye to it. And I don't know if it's because of the simplicity of the beat. You know, it's what you just said, that music, without the lyrics, the music still takes you on a journey. And I think because you have that drummer in you, right?
Yeah.
That you're looking for rhythms and you're looking for certain tones, and those actually create a mood for you. And then you can write lyrics and all these other things around it. Yeah. I think the traditional listener, right or wrong, smart or not, isn't listening to the lyrics. In fact, they're just listening to the beat. And I think when they are listening to the lyrics, they're saying, well, that's it's like a cartoon. That's just play talk. That's not real.
Yeah. It's just for fun. Yeah. It's just silly, whatever.
And the thing is, it's so not. And I'm not a prude at all, but it's gross. Not. It's not offensive. It's gross. It's gross.
I agree. But also, they say, like, then like the likes of, you know, BuzzFeed and Vogue and all these online scenes or magazines or whatever, they come along and say, yeah, but it's an empowering song for women. Like, what are you talking about? Did you ever see a guy make a song called Stiff Ass Cock or something?
Yeah.
That's never been out there, you know. But it's like empowering, but it's not empowering. It's just Neanderthal like behavior. It's just stupid. Yeah. Like, why do you have to make a song? Yeah, well, Cardi B, she's laughing all the way to the bank, so she doesn't give a crap. That's for sure. No. You know, she'll just. I don't know if you saw that. Was it the Grammy Awards performance? They're like,
no,
it's like watching like semi-porn or something with a soundtrack to it. So. Yeah. They're like humping, and they were doing like the scissoring thing. Cardi B and Megan the Stallion.
Her name is.
I don't know. I'm not gonna say males have been any better in passing years. Like, I mean, I have to say, I was young. I loved Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, all that good stuff. But when you look back, but see, like you say, it's a beat thing. It's like an overall. Whoa, this just sounds good. But the lyrics are super misogynistic and gangster behavior, just stupidity, pretty much, and criminal behavior. They're like champion. What do you call it? Like they're glorifying like criminal behavior and being misogynistic and all this stuff. But so I think a lot of people, including myself, when I was way younger, it's like, you know, it's just a whole package, and you know, it's a visual thing as well. You know, they look cool with their Dickies pants and their only one buttoned up shirt and all that stuff. And I used to like, and I even nowadays I could still, you know, listen to it every once in a while. It just doesn't do much for me anymore.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Maybe you can equate it to the Cardi B thing, maybe, in a way.
Well, probably. I mean, I think the reality with anything is humans are simple creatures.
Yeah.
We like to eat. We like to have sex. We like to sleep. We like to play. We don't really like to work. And we like things that celebrate all of our fleshy, lazy things.
Yeah.
And then by the way, we're supposed to say we don't like those things so we can somehow set ourselves apart from everybody else and feel better about ourselves. But the reality is yeah, we're pretty stupid, man.
In a way, I mean, the human mind can actually be tricked very easily as well. So
yeah,
you could even trick yourself. I remember I did like some years back when, you know, like a darker period of my life, I went to see a therapist, and I still distinctly remember she gave me like this thing to do if I had a day where I had the blues, you know. It was like, Jesper, you have to realize that the human brain is actually quite stupid. You can easily trick it. Okay, tell me more. And then she was like, when you do this, just by doing this, you send signals to your mind that, oh, I think I have to be happy now. Endorphin, let's go. Let's flush out that stuff. And then she said, just take like a pencil, whatever, put it between your teeth and go walk around with it. And you're going to start, first of all, you're going to start feeling silly, which is going to lead to you laughing, it's there, it works.
Yeah.
You know, that's the end result is that you're going to feel silly, but it's going to make you happy, and it's going to send, you know, it's like a way of triggering your own endorphin deposits in your brain. And I've used it sometimes before, and it's quite effective.
Yeah.
Maybe
Well,
it's placebo.
It does make you look stupid, that's for sure. But if
it really does,
if it works, who cares? You know what I mean? It's a wake up call, if anything. So a few more short questions regarding the album. Is there a general theme to the album? When you sat down and you wrote the lyrics, did you say, I want this album to be about X?
No, it wasn't actually. It's not like a concept album or anything.
Right.
But it's there are ongoing themes throughout. Not necessarily on purpose or anything, but it's I guess it's just, you know, my mind, and it's just what I tend to write about. But I mean, the song "Cult" is actually about a cult. Specifically the cult called Heaven's Gate, if you remember that.
Yep.
Back in '97, that whole thing.
Yep.
Very strange thing. I had a thing for you know, watching documentaries and reading, like deep diving into like cults and their behavior and why do they do this? Why do they believe this? Why would they believe this one guy or a girl that just says this? And like, where's the evidence? You know, my logical thinking and, you know, empirical evidence, we need this. But still, it's like, there's the Hale-Bopp comet is flying over Earth, and there's in the coma, which is funny, there's a song called Coma as well. In the coma, also known as the tail on the comet, there's a UFO. It's gonna pick us up and take us to what we call the next level, which is a place that's way better than Earth. And they all committed suicide for that.
And they cut their balls off first.
They're also eunuchs.
They cut their balls off, and they had to put tennis shoes on, track suits and tennis shoes. Yeah,
they had specifically a Nike shoes, and after this whole incident, Nike actually took it off the market because it was a little sensitive and all that. Yeah. But the thing I wanted to say about it was that I'm not glorifying these cults or anything, but I found myself thinking like I wanted, when I listened to all these tapes again and again, there's numerous tapes out there of them talking, and they all seem so happy. Yeah, they all seem so happy, and it's like, who am I to say like, oh, you're stupid for killing yourself? You know what I mean? It seemed like they found their place and they were so happy, and I think they went to like Disneyland the last few weeks before they decided to do what they did. It was already in the plans, but I was like, these seem like really lovely people. So I'm not like trying to, it's weird. It's somewhere in between where I'm like, it's like the sweet spot with the singing. It's like, I mean, there's somewhere where like I'm despising it, but also kind of liking it in a way, or feeling like I have a connection to it.
Yeah.
But that's just that one song. But otherwise, it's generally about my outlook on life and the world in general. And I don't know if I told it last time. Never did a 2-part interview before.
No, go ahead.
No, but I said like I thought like it's like a window to my mind. You know, it's like if you look through the window, that's where the lyrics come from. Is where I come from. It's what I think about. many topics.
Yeah. If people want to know you, all they have to do is read your words, right?
And interpret as well.
Yeah.
A bit, because it's not necessarily right there in front of you. It can be a little bit more complex, and
Yeah.
like to keep it mysterious sometimes.
Yeah, it's interesting, this cult thing, though. I love what you just said about the whole Hail Bob thing, the Heaven's Gate guys.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Wherever you live, whatever family you grew up within, whether they were a Christian family or a Catholic family or a Buddhist family or an atheist family, it doesn't matter. We all feel the exact same way. We feel the exact same level of correctness and potency, all the things, and nobody's going to convince us we're incorrect. Nobody's going to be able to talk us out of how we think and how we feel and how we believe, because we're all sort of weirdly broken. We all have, some people call it a God-sized hole, but whatever it is, we have a hole in us that we try to fill it with, money and stuff. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know, but I really think that, the reason these cults find their way is there's somebody who's interesting or attractive or whatever, has a great energy. Like you, you have a great energy. There's a big deal about bands where there's, the fans are, right, they become cult classics. Bands are like King Crimson is a perfect example of a band that never had a hit, but 50 years of music, they sell out every show. They have a cult following.
Yeah, exactly.
And you guys, I imagine, have a cult following.
That's not for me to say.
Yeah, but I think you do. Your stuff gets lots of attention, and it's excellent. And it really says. It's whatever the genre is. I would actually love that. That would be my last question to you. Is how do you define your music? Do you just say it's just hardcore metal, or is it grindcore, or what's your thing? What's your take on your stuff?
It's coming from like what do you say, like objectively, people would definitely call it metalcore, but I try to say it in a different way. I try to say that our music is like smelling a lovely rose while getting a kick in the face. Something like that. Or you're smelling the lovely rose, and then all of a sudden there's a steel cut boot ramming breaking your face or something.
You gotta hear that. You gotta hear that sound, whatever that.
Yeah, exactly. It's I try to use some more symbolism in this case.
Nice,
but,
nice.
That's what I call it.
Nice. Well, okay. So a fun last question. Adam Janzi, the drummer from Vola, who lives in Sweden, and his band is Danish. Yes. He asks, "What is your favorite Danish food?"
He literally asked that?
He literally asked that. He's a friend of mine, so I asked him.
Oh, really?
What would you ask? And he said, ask him what's his favorite Danish food, and then he put a smiley face next to it. I don't know if there's some inside joke here.
I don't think so. I don't know him personally. I mostly know the other guys because they've had a few drummers.
Yeah.
I knew that the first drummer, Felix, mostly, but then they had a Seaman, and then they had, what's his name now again?
Well, Adam Janzi is the drummer currently, but they had Seaman Sandnes in there for a brief period between Felix and Adam. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, he's the newest current drummer. The funny thing is, Rob, you have to know that Denmark is, when it comes to the culinary world and food in general, Denmark is so inspirationless. It's like Danish food is so damn boring. It's like tasting the color gray, and we like salt. We like salt and pepper, and that's all we like. That's a Danish person's idea of a spice, salt and pepper. If you look in my spice rack, which is right over here, there is salt, pepper, of course. I am Danish. But there's also oregano, there's curry, there's turmeric, there's cumin, there's paprika, there's blah, 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 right? Yeah. A lot of different things. But if I had to say, like, I don't even think I can say one because I'm not even sure what's like a classic Danish food. And now that I don't eat meat anymore, it makes it even harder because Danish culture is very very meat oriented, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
It's very like a big piece of meat and a lot of potatoes, and then a few vegetables on the side and some really greasy sauce as well. But if I had to choose something when I used to eat it, it would definitely be well, how does it say? How do you say it in English? It's a it's like a curry meatball thing with rice thing, which is weird. Like curry isn't that Indian, but it's actually like a classic Danish dish. So curry meatballs with rice, that thing.
Okay.
But I don't even eat meat anymore. So, you know,
Well,
it's been many years now.
I'll tag him and let him know that you had a pathetic answer.
It was a really crappy answer, but at least I gave the preface to it with the whole thing that Danish food is super boring.
Oh man, that's
I
hilarious.
like Indian, Thai, Vietnamese food way more, to be honest.
Well, thanks, Jesper. You've been
No worries.
you've been fantastic, and
You too,
I
man.
love your band. I'm gonna make sure I can do everything I can for it, and I hope we stay in touch, brother. But I was really honored to have you on the show, and thanks for making the effort to come back and give us a little more insight. So the new record, Comatose, May 7th. Can't wait to hear the whole thing. I can't wait to get everybody behind it. Please let us know where we can buy the record.
Well, we're very much an Instagram band, and if you go to the link in our bio, we have everything you need in there. There's like links to like all the music videos, the places you can get it, the pre-orders, the bundles, and all that stuff.
Nice.
We're also on YouTube at Ghost Diaries DK, and the same thing with the Instagram. It's Ghost Diaries DK as well. And you could even pick our stuff up on Bandcamp, which anybody still use that? I guess they do.
Yeah. I buy stuff on Bandcamp all the time. Yeah.
Oh, you do? Okay. I personally don't. That's why I thought I haven't used it for
I'm old,
years,
dude. I think it's for old people. I don't think it's for the young people.
I mean, I'm not that young, so maybe I should be using it. No, but at least if you just go to like Google and put in Ghost Diaries, like where our search engine optimization is very good, because Ghost Diaries it's just us. Nothing else comes up. We're all over, so it's easy to find.
Awesome. That's great, buddy. Well, Jesper Vicencio-Gün, thank you so much, my friend.
Woo! Well said. Thank you for having me again.
Great, brother. Yeah, you bet.
You too, man.
We'll see you soon.
See you soon, man. Bye.